In a small, bustling city, there lived a young woman named Maya. On the outside, she appeared to have it all: a well-paying job at a prestigious firm, a cozy apartment in the heart of the city, and a circle of friends who admired her confidence and ambition. Yet, despite these outward signs of success, Maya felt a deep, unshakable emptiness within her. The feeling was subtle at first, a whisper of dissatisfaction that she could easily ignore in the noise of daily life. But over time it grew louder, until it became impossible to ignore. Maya had always been the type of person who prided herself on setting goals and achieving them. Her life had been a series of well-planned steps: finish school, land a good job, climb the corporate ladder, build a life of comfort. Yet, no matter how much she achieved, something always felt incomplete. She didn't know what it was or how to fix it, but she knew one thing: there had to be more to life than what she was experiencing. The feeling reached a boiling point one rainy afternoon when Maya sat in her office, staring blankly at her computer screen. She had just received another promotion, another acknowledgement of her hard work. Her colleagues congratulated her, and she smiled politely, thanking them for their kind words. But inside, she felt nothing. It wasn't that she didn't appreciate her success. It just felt hollow. That evening, she walked home through the rain, her mind swirling with thoughts of what was missing from her life. She had everything society told her to want: status, wealth, recognition. But none of it brought her the peace or fulfillment she thought it would. The more she walked, the more she felt the weight of her own existence pressing on her chest, a weight that had grown heavier with each passing year. She stopped in her tracks, feeling overwhelmed by the sudden realization that she didn't know who she truly was or what she was meant to do with her life. Maya's world had been defined by external markers of success, achievements, accolades, and the approval of others. Yet in that moment of raw vulnerability, she realized that none of it had provided her with the internal peace she so desperately craved. Something deep inside her began to stir, a desire to know herself, to find a deeper meaning beyond the surface-level pursuits she had been chasing. That night, unable to shake the feeling of discontent, Maya found herself scrolling through old journals and photos. She came across an entry from years ago when she was still in college, before she had become so consumed with her career. The entry was simple, but powerful. What if I'm meant to do something more? What if my purpose is something greater than what I can see right now? The words seemed to echo through her mind, as if a part of her had known even back then that something was missing. But the demands of life, of society's expectations, had pushed those questions aside. Now they resurfaced with a force that couldn't be ignored. The more Maya thought about it, the more she realized that she had been living her life on autopilot, following a script that wasn't hers to write. She had never stopped to ask herself what she truly wanted, or what her soul longed for. It was as if she had been playing a role in someone else's story, and the realization left her feeling both frightened and excited. The next morning, Maya woke with a sense of urgency she couldn't explain. She knew she couldn't continue down the same path. Something had to change, but what? How? Where should she even begin? Her mind raced with questions as she got ready for work, and as she walked to the office, she felt a strange pull, an invisible force that seemed to be guiding her. That afternoon, as she sat in a meeting, her attention wandered. The discussion was important, but her mind wasn't there. Instead, her thoughts kept drifting back to the question that had been plaguing her for months: what is my purpose? And then, just as quickly as the thought came, something caught her eye. A small note left on the table in front of her, as if it had been placed there just for her. It was a simple note, with a single line written on it. The path to self-discovery begins when you let go of the need for control. Maya stared at the note, feeling a strange sense of calm wash over her. Who had written it? How did it end up on the table? Was it meant for her? The more she thought about it, the more she felt that the note was a sign, one that had come to her at the exact moment she needed it most. She had always been a person who liked to control her life, to have everything planned out. But what if this was the very thing that was keeping her stuck? What if she had to let go of her need to control everything in order to discover her true path? After the meeting, Maya couldn't shake the thought of the note. She decided to take a walk, to clear her mind and process what had just happened. As she walked through the city, the familiar sights of everyday life suddenly seemed different. The world around her felt more alive, more vibrant, as if it were trying to communicate something to her. She realized that, in her pursuit of success, she had become disconnected from the world around her and from herself. It was in that moment, standing on a quiet street corner, lost in thought, that Maya felt it. A sense of clarity, a knowing deep inside her that there was something greater at play. She didn't have all the answers, but for the first time in a long time, she felt a glimmer of hope. The universe, it seemed, had a plan for her, and maybe, just maybe, it was time to stop fighting it and trust the journey ahead. Maya's decision to embrace the journey of self-discovery didn't come easily. At first, the idea of leaving behind the life she had built, a life that many people would envy, seemed almost impossible. Yet the whisper of something greater, something deeper, continued to echo in her mind, urging her to step outside of her comfort zone. She took a deep breath and made a choice. She would take time off work, an unprecedented decision that left her feeling both liberated and terrified. The office, her colleagues, the structured routine, everything she had built her identity around would be put on hold. It was a bold move, but Maya knew that if she didn't act now, she might never find the answers she was desperately searching for. For the first time in years, she found herself with nothing planned. It was a strange feeling. The constant pressure to succeed, to accomplish, to prove herself, had always driven her, but now she felt an overwhelming need to slow down, to listen, and to see what life had in store when she wasn't running from one task to the next. She spent the next few days reflecting, journaling her thoughts, and meditating. The quiet was both peaceful and unsettling. She had never been so still. One morning, Maya woke up with a sudden urge to travel. She didn't know where to or why, but the call to go somewhere unfamiliar was irresistible. With little more than a backpack and a few essentials, she decided to take a train to a small town she had never heard of before. There was something about the idea of exploring a new place that felt symbolic, like a fresh start, a blank canvas for her soul to paint. The town, nestled in the foothills of a mountain range, was quiet and serene, worlds apart from the fast-paced city she had left behind. The streets were lined with cobblestone, and the air carried a crispness that felt refreshing, almost healing. Maya checked into a small inn and spent her first day wandering the town, absorbing its tranquil atmosphere. She visited a small cafe where the locals greeted her with warmth, despite being a stranger in their midst. But as much as the change in environment soothed her on the surface, Maya soon found herself confronted with inner turbulence. The absence of her usual distractions left her alone with her thoughts, and those thoughts began to take on a new intensity. She couldn't avoid them anymore. The questions she had suppressed for so long, who am I? What is my purpose? Demanded answers. She wandered through the town in a daze, trying to make sense of everything. It was on the third day of her stay that Maya encountered a peculiar woman. She was an older woman, with silver hair and eyes that seemed to see right through Maya, as though she could look into her soul. She sat on a bench in the town square, knitting quietly, and yet there was an aura about her, a calmness that immediately drew Maya in. Without thinking, Maya approached her and sat beside her. They exchanged a few pleasantries before falling into a comfortable silence, and for reasons she couldn't explain, Maya felt compelled to share her story. She spoke of her life in the city, her career, and her feelings of emptiness, and how she had left everything behind in search of something more. The woman listened intently, never interrupting, her gaze unwavering. When Maya finally finished, the woman smiled gently and said, "You're looking for answers in all the wrong places. The universe doesn't hand us meaning on a silver platter. It whispers, it nudges, and it sends us signs, but we must be willing to listen. You have to stop seeking and start being." Maya was taken aback. "Stop seeking and start being?" she repeated, the words echoing in her mind. The woman nodded, her eyes twinkling with a knowing look. "The path you're on now isn't about finding something outside of yourself," the woman continued. "It's about discovering who you truly are, not who the world has told you to be. The answers are already inside of you, but you've been too busy to hear them. The universe has been trying to speak to you, but you've been too distracted by the noise of your own life." Maya felt a lump form in her throat, the weight of the woman's words sinking deep into her heart. It was as if everything she had been searching for had suddenly clicked into place. She had been so consumed by the external markers of success that she had forgotten to look inward, to ask herself what her soul truly needed. As she sat there, lost in thought, Maya noticed something strange. The breeze seemed to pick up, swirling around her in a way that felt almost deliberate. She turned and saw that a leaf had landed at her feet. It was a vibrant shade of red, striking against the otherwise muted colors of the surrounding trees. Something about it felt significant, like a sign, like the universe was acknowledging her shift in awareness. The woman smiled again, as if she had read Maya's thoughts. "That's the first sign. When the universe sends you a message, it may come in ways you don't expect. Pay attention to the little things." Maya didn't know what the leaf meant, but she knew it was the beginning of something. The universe had just given her a gentle nudge, and for the first time in her life, she felt ready to listen. In the days that followed, Maya's life seemed to be filled with synchronicities. She would think of something, and moments later, a stranger would mention it. She would ask herself a question, and somehow, an answer would appear in a book or a conversation. It was as though the universe was guiding her, speaking to her through the world around her. With every sign, Maya felt her sense of purpose slowly come into focus. The journey ahead was far from clear, but she knew one thing for sure. It wasn't about finding a destination. It was about learning to trust the signs and the wisdom that lay within. As the days went by, Maya began to immerse herself deeper into the peaceful rhythm of the small town, yet she couldn't escape the storm raging inside her. The advice from the elderly woman, the notion that answers lay within, not in external achievements, resonated deeply, but it also brought forth an overwhelming sense of unease. Maya had spent years building her identity on what the world told her was important: success, status, and control. Letting go of that, or even questioning it, felt like stripping away the very foundation of her life. Her mind was constantly at war, torn between the comfort of her old life and the uncertainty of this new path she was trying to walk. She had stepped out of her routine, but now she found herself paralyzed by fear of what was to come. For days, she tried to meditate and reflect, hoping that in the stillness, answers would emerge. Instead, the silence seemed to amplify her doubts. She would close her eyes and attempt to listen to her inner voice, but all she could hear was a cacophony of self-criticism. "What are you doing here? You should be working. You should be back at your career." The nagging thoughts echoed like a chorus of doubts, pulling her back into the world she had left behind. Maya couldn't help but compare her current state to the life she had built. Back home, she was someone important, someone whose success was easily measured. People admired her work ethic and determination. But now, in this unfamiliar place, stripped of titles and expectations, she felt like a small, insignificant speck in the grand scheme of things. The reality was humbling. She had always seen herself as the one who had control, the one who could handle anything. But now, without the structure of her old life, she felt vulnerable and lost. One afternoon, after a long walk to the nearby cliffs overlooking the valley, Maya sat by herself, her heart heavy. She had come to the edge, so far from everything she once knew, and yet she wasn't sure if she was ready to let go. She closed her eyes and tried to breathe through the discomfort, and in that moment a thought struck her. What if I've been wrong all along? For so many years she had believed that success came from hard work and control. But now, as she sat there in the quiet of the mountains, she began to wonder if she had been running in the wrong direction. Perhaps there was another way, a way that didn't require her to force every outcome, a way that didn't demand perfection or constant achievement. But even as the thought blossomed within her, self-doubt crept in. What if I fail? What if this is just a fantasy? The fear of not knowing what was next, of stepping into the unknown, gripped her with its icy fingers. Every step she took away from her old life felt like a leap into a vast, uncharted abyss. Over the next few days, Maya struggled with the urge to return to the familiar, her old life in the city, her career, the predictable path. The old patterns of behavior kept pulling at her like a magnetic force. She had spent years developing habits that made her feel secure, and now, without them, she felt adrift. She had always been in control of her destiny, but now she felt as though life was controlling her. One evening she went to the cafe where she had first met the elderly woman. As she sipped her tea, her thoughts began to spiral. Just as she was about to leave, she spotted a man sitting alone at a nearby table. He looked like he was deep in thought, but his demeanor was calm and centered. There was something about him that intrigued her, and without thinking, she stood up and approached him. "I'm sorry to interrupt, but I couldn't help but notice how at peace you seem," Maya said hesitantly. "I've been struggling a lot lately, with doubt, with change. Do you ever feel uncertain about your journey?" The man looked up at her with a warm smile. "Uncertainty is a part of life. Without it, there would be no growth. But fear of change can paralyze us if we let it." His words struck a chord with Maya. "How do you overcome it?" He leaned back in his chair, his eyes thoughtful. "Embrace the discomfort. The universe will push you to grow, and that growth won't always feel easy. You can't control everything, and that's okay. Trust that the path you're on is the one you need to be on, even when it feels uncertain." Maya felt a sense of relief as the man spoke. It was as though his words unlocked something within her, a realization that her fear wasn't a signal to retreat, but rather an invitation to move forward. Growth, as he said, required discomfort. Change didn't come wrapped in neat, tidy packages. It was messy, unpredictable, and often uncomfortable, and that was exactly why it was so important. As she walked back to the inn that evening, Maya felt a shift inside her. The struggle wasn't over, but it was no longer something to fear. She understood now that growth wasn't a destination, it was a process, and that process would involve embracing the discomfort of uncertainty, of letting go of the need to control every aspect of her life. The universe had set her on a journey, not one of perfection, but one of learning and self-discovery. The signs were all around her, guiding her, but she had to be willing to face her fears and push through the barriers she had built to protect herself. The journey ahead would be difficult, but Maya was beginning to see that it was in those moments of struggle that true transformation occurred. As the days stretched into weeks, Maya found herself navigating the twists and turns of her journey, still facing moments of doubt, but also beginning to experience small shifts within herself. It was during one quiet evening, after yet another meditation session by the serene lake near the town, that Maya had a breakthrough. She had been grappling with the question of her purpose, constantly wondering what she was meant to do in the world. For so long, Her identity had been tied to her achievements, her career, her status, the approval of others. But in the stillness of the moment, Maya realized that these things weren't what defined her after all. They were merely external validations, distractions from the truth she had been avoiding, the truth about who she truly was. In the reflective calm of the lake, she understood that her journey was not about finding a single grand purpose or destination. It was about allowing herself to evolve, to trust that she was already enough, just as she was. She had spent years seeking approval and success, trying to fit herself into a mold that others had crafted. But the universe's plan wasn't about fitting into anyone else's vision. It was about embracing her unique essence and the talents that were inherently hers. It was at this moment that Maya realized the gift she had been overlooking. The ability to listen, to connect with others, and to empathize deeply with their struggles. She had always been a good listener, but she had dismissed it as a small trait, nothing worth building a life around. But now, she saw it for what it truly was, a unique strength that allowed her to understand and support others in ways that many people couldn't. The universe had woven this ability into her, shaping her for a purpose that was slowly becoming clearer. As Maya sat by the lake, a deep sense of peace washed over her. She no longer felt the need to force her life into a specific shape. She didn't need to be a perfect version of herself or meet anyone's expectations. Instead, she began to see the interconnectedness of all the events that had led her here. The job she had left, the struggles she had faced, the people she had met. Each one had played a role in her growth. It wasn't all a series of random events. Each piece had been guiding her toward this moment of clarity, preparing her to step into a new version of herself. The universe had a plan, a series of lessons wrapped in challenges and triumphs, each one building upon the last. Every difficult moment, every moment of uncertainty, had been a stepping stone in her evolution. Maya now understood that she wasn't meant to control every aspect of her life. She was meant to surrender to the flow, to trust that each experience was bringing her closer to the person she was meant to become. This wasn't a journey of chasing success or perfection. It was a journey of unfolding, of letting go of the need to have everything figured out. As she reflected on her growth, Maya felt the weight of the resistance she had held onto for so long begin to lift. She had been fighting life, trying to control the outcomes, to force things to fit into a neat narrative. But now she understood that true growth came from releasing that grip, from surrendering to the process of life, and trusting that the universe was always guiding her toward what she needed. The fear that once held her captive, that fear of the unknown and of failure, began to fade. Maya felt a renewed sense of purpose, not one that came from external sources, but one that came from within. She no longer needed validation or approval. She was beginning to trust her own instincts, her own path, and the unfolding story that was uniquely hers. In the days that followed, Maya continued to walk the path of self-discovery, no longer burdened by the need for certainty or perfection. She embraced the uncertainty with open arms, knowing that every step was part of her evolution. Her connection to herself, to her unique talents, and to the flow of life deepened, and with it, she felt more aligned with the universe's plan. This was not the end of her journey. It was only the beginning. In the weeks that followed her moment of revelation, Maya felt a profound transformation within herself. The restlessness that had once plagued her heart had subsided, replaced by a deep sense of inner peace. She had embraced the truth about her purpose, not as a singular destination, but as a continuous journey of growth, self-discovery, and connection with others. With each passing day, she felt more in tune with her true self, more aligned with the path that had been unfolding before her all along. Maya no longer felt the need to chase success or external validation. She had let go of the constant pressure to prove herself, and in doing so, she had discovered a freedom she had never known. She began living each day with a sense of purpose, not defined by the expectations of others, but by the unique talents and wisdom she had come to understand within herself. Her ability to listen, to empathize, and to connect deeply with others had become her guiding force, and she now saw it as a gift she was meant to share with the world. As she embraced this new way of being, Maya found herself naturally gravitating toward helping those around her. She began volunteering at local community centers, offering her time and support to those who felt lost or unsure of their own path. She shared her journey openly, speaking about the struggles she had faced and the lessons she had learned along the way. Her story became an inspiration to others who were grappling with their own doubts and fears, and she felt a deep sense of fulfillment in knowing that she was making a difference in their lives. One evening, as she spoke to a group of young adults at the community center, she realized just how far she had come. She wasn't the same person who had once been consumed by the need for control and perfection. Maya had stepped into a new chapter of her life, one where she walked with confidence and trust, knowing that the universe's plan was always guiding her. The journey is never about having all the answers, Maya shared with the group. It's about embracing the unknown, trusting that each experience is leading you toward your true self. We can't control the path, but we can trust that we're exactly where we need to be. As she spoke those words, she felt a deep resonance within herself. This was the essence of the journey she had embraced, an ongoing process of learning, growing, and sharing wisdom with others. She had come to understand that her purpose was not something she could force or control. It was something she could only uncover by surrendering to life's flow, trusting that each step would reveal the next. And now, she walked that path with confidence, knowing that the universe would continue to guide her as long as she remained open to its lessons. Maya's journey was no longer one of struggle or resistance. It was one of acceptance and trust, of embracing the unknown with open arms. She no longer feared what lay ahead. She knew that, no matter what, she was exactly where she needed to be. As Maya stood on the edge of the same lake where she had experienced her breakthrough, the soft light of the setting sun bathed the world in golden hues. She looked out at the water, the gentle ripples reflecting the vast sky above, and a deep sense of gratitude filled her heart. It was hard to believe that only a few months had passed since she first arrived in this quiet town, unsure of herself and searching for meaning. Now, standing at the threshold of this new chapter in her life, she could hardly recognize the person she had been before. The journey had not been easy. There were moments of doubt, times when she questioned her decision to leave behind everything she had known. There were days when she felt lost, when the old patterns of fear and insecurity tried to creep back in. But now, as she looked back, she saw those moments not as obstacles, but as essential parts of her transformation. Each step, each challenge, had shaped her into the person she had become. Maya realized that the universe's plan had never been about reaching a specific destination or achieving a particular goal. It was never about attaining perfection or finding a final answer. Instead, it was about the ongoing journey of self-discovery, growth, and evolution. She had spent so much of her life striving for external achievements, measuring her worth by what she had accomplished. But now she understood that true fulfillment did not come from the destination. It came from the process itself, the journey of learning, evolving, and becoming more attuned to her true self. Looking back at her experiences, Maya recognized the intricate web of interconnected events that had guided her toward this point. The people she had met, the challenges she had faced, the moments of doubt. Each one had been a stepping stone in her journey, leading her to this moment of clarity. The universe had been speaking to her all along, but she had only been able to hear its whispers when she slowed down, let go of her need for control, and opened her heart to the lessons that life had to offer. It was as though a veil had been lifted from her eyes, revealing the truth that had been there all along. Life was not a race to a finish line, but a continuous unfolding of experiences, each one offering new insights and opportunities for growth. Maya now saw that she would never truly arrive at a final destination. Instead, she would continue to evolve, continue to discover more about herself and the world around her. The journey would never end, and that was the beauty of it. As the sun sank lower in the sky, casting its final rays across the water, Maya smiled softly. She had come to understand that the key to peace and fulfillment was not in striving for something outside of herself, but in embracing each moment as it was, trusting that the universe had a plan and that she was always exactly where she needed to be. The lessons, the growth, the challenges, they were all part of the same continuous process, each one leading her closer to a deeper understanding of herself and her place in the world. The journey would never be perfect, but it was hers. It was her path, her story, and she would walk it with confidence, knowing that the universe would continue to unfold mysteries and opportunities, as long as she remained open to the lessons it had to offer. And so, with a heart full of gratitude and trust, Maya turned from the lake and began walking back toward the town. The future was unknown, but she no longer feared it. She knew now that the universe's plan was not something to be figured out or controlled. It was something to be lived, step by step, moment by moment. The journey was ongoing, and she was ready to embrace whatever came next. In the vibrant and supportive community dedicated to Jesus, Super Chat offers a unique and impactful way for viewers to actively participate in the mission of spreading faith and supporting charitable causes. When you engage in a live stream and use Super Chat, you are not just making a financial contribution, but also amplifying your voice within the community. This feature allows you to send a highlighted message along with your donation, which is prominently displayed during the live broadcast. It's a powerful way to show your support, share words of encouragement, or ask for prayers. Every Super Chat helps fund the community's various initiatives, from outreach programs to maintaining the digital presence that allows the message of Jesus to reach a wider audience. By participating in Super Chat, you're playing a crucial role in helping the community thrive, ensuring that it can continue to inspire, educate, and uplift others. Your contributions are more than just donations. They are a testament to your commitment to the values of love, generosity, and faith that define our shared journey. In the heart of our Jesus-centered community, Super Chat serves as a powerful tool for deepening engagement and enhancing our collective mission. This feature, available on live streaming platforms like YouTube, allows you to contribute financially during live broadcasts while simultaneously sharing a personalized message with the entire community. As you participate in Super Chat, your message and donation are highlighted, offering a unique opportunity to publicly express your support, share your personal testimony, or even request prayer for yourself or others. This visibility not only showcases your commitment, but also fosters a sense of camaraderie and shared purpose among all viewers. The contributions you make through Super Chat play a pivotal role in sustaining and expanding the community's efforts. Whether it's supporting outreach initiatives, funding community events, or maintaining the digital infrastructure necessary for live streams and online ministry, your donations help ensure that the message of Jesus reaches as many hearts as possible. By using Super Chat, you help to amplify the impact of our shared mission, making it possible for us to continue providing valuable resources, support, and inspiration to both existing members and newcomers alike. Moreover, Super Chat offers a way for you to be more involved in the life of the community. Your highlighted messages can encourage dialogue, spark discussions, and build connections with others who share your faith and values. It's not just about giving financially, it's about becoming an active participant in the growth and vibrancy of our community. Each Super Chat contribution helps to create a dynamic and interactive environment where ideas and support flow freely, making the community stronger and more unified. To make the most of Super Chat, it's important to understand how your contributions are utilized and to ensure transparency in the community's financial practices. Knowing that your support is used effectively to further the mission can enhance your sense of involvement and trust in the community. Additionally, publicly acknowledging and thanking donors during live streams not only shows appreciation, but also encourages others to join in, creating a ripple effect of generosity and engagement. In essence, Super Chat is more than just a financial tool. It's a means of connecting deeply with our community, supporting our shared goals, and actively participating in the mission of spreading Jesus' teachings. By contributing through Super Chat, you are helping to build a vibrant, supportive, and faith-driven community that thrives on mutual encouragement and collective action. Your involvement makes a significant difference, and together, we can continue to grow and impact lives in meaningful ways.